Hey entrepreneurs, it's AJ and welcome back to Business as Unusual, practical motivation during times of uncertainty. Today's topic is good artists copy, but great artists steal. And it's a quote that's often attributed to Steve Jobs, but Jobs, he had to get it from somewhere. So me being the curious monk that I am, curious monk? Let's run with that. Curious monk that I am, I went to the Google and tried to find out the source of this quote. And what I found was really interesting. And the source was actually from the 1800s. In 1892, W.H. Davenport Adams wrote this article in the Gentleman's Magazine of the time, which I suppose is the equivalent of GQ or Clio or something like that. Those rascallions from the 1800s. Anyway, he wrote this quote in there. And what he said was, let me look at the notes because I do not want to muck this up. If you saw one of my previous other videos, I called the CEO of Virgin, I got his name wrong. So bad. And then I tagged him in the post. Anyway, here's a quote. So Davenport Adams, he said that great poets imitate and improve, whereas small ones steal and spoil. And you have to put this into context, right? So everyone's pretty much an artist or a poet, right? A poet. And, when you imitate someone else, it was the greatest form of flattery. But if you stole someone else's work, you were condemned to the gallows or wherever it was in the 1800s, So it's contextual, right? But he does have a point. When you look at that quote in that period of time, it's completely irrelevant. But when you look at Steve Jobs and what he said, it's completely different. So I wanted to know if there was something that happened in the middle there between the two quotes. And yes, there was. In 1920, T.S. Eliot came along and said something interesting. He said, immature poets imitate, but mature poets steal. That's more like Jobsy. So then he goes on to say something really interesting. He says, now what they do with that theft is quite interesting. And they make it something new, something unique. And now we start to see, well, that's how things work when you're trying to innovate or bring something new to the world. It's never something really new. It's usually something that's stolen from somewhere else and brought together and combined in a new way to bring something new to the world. And I find that fascinating because for me as a speaker and even as a business consultant, if you look at my work, I'm quite different to all the other traditional business consultants out there, the way I think and behave. I call it as entrepreneurial thinking, right? But to give you an idea of the difference, right? Can you imagine if I went on stage and did an imitation? Let's say I went on stage and did this. Look, here's the thing, Jim. I'm a big deal, right? And in between me doing a whole bunch of stuff, I like my space. So, in between making movies and doing a lot of interviews, I'm at home with the family, making babies. And if I did that on stage, people would go away and think, he's just imitating someone. But if you've been to one of my events, you'll know that I do Woybras, right? And you have to come to one of my events to see what that is. But basically, that is something I stole from the people that I grew up with. And I make no apologies for it because I took it and I made it mine and I use it in a completely different context. And that's what Jobsy is talking about here when good artists copy and great artists steal. What you do with your theft and how you use it is so critical to bringing in new ideas to this world. If you have a look at anything transformational and you break it down into its various components, it already existed. Those various components already existed in other areas of the world, but they were never brought together to create something unique. Take the iPhone, for instance. Every single component in the iPhone was another piece of technology that was being utilized elsewhere in the world. But by gathering all of that under a vision and putting it together, we now have smartphones. And that's why we were that product alone and the philosophical thinking birthed a whole new category, let's call it a category, but it impacted no less than 9 different industries out there. So if you want to be an innovator, an entrepreneur, or if you're like me, chasing greatness, steal ideas. Do not copy, because when you copy, you're labeled that immature person and you could also get sued for copyright, right? That's why you got to steal it. And what you do with your theft is crucial. So go out there, steal stuff, but make it your own. And that's my advice to you, entrepreneurs, and I hope this serves you well. All right, entrepreneurs, that's me done. Whatever happens in business and in life, I wish you nothing but success. Take care. My name's AJ Kulatunga, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.